Okay, so we're going to go through some leather ID. This one is a crust leather. So if you grab also one of these, I'm going to get you to have a look at some things. So you're going to be able to, if you just hold it up, you'll be able to look at it and you'll be able to see. Now, this is crust. It's a veg tanned. This sort of darkening that you've got here compared to this light, that's just done by natural. Yeah, it's natural light. Yep. So that's what Louis Vuittons do. So this is the, on the Louis Vuitton bags, on the Vachetta leather, that's exactly what you've got. This is exactly what happens to it. People say, oh, it's gone dark. I don't want it dark anymore. I want it light. You can't do anything about it because it's natural. It naturally does that. So anything that gets on here is going to stain it, same as a Louis Vuitton. Anything that gets on it's going to stain it. Any cleaning that you do to anything like that, you're going to make it darker, because you're putting richness back into it. Yeah, you're not going to make it lighter because you're putting oil back in. Yeah, and the only reason why it's like this is what it is like brand new. This is just UV rays. It's making it go from the light to the dark. Yeah, so the light to the dark. So that to that is just lights like these lights inside the building. It could have been out, maybe sun exposed to it or something like that. So this is just where this is all, rolled up, and you can just see where it's, it's probably been sat somewhere like that. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? That's how it's exposed. And this little mark here is just where we put some stuff on it to dye. But that's probably been sat there exposed like that. So it's gone dark. And when you unroll it, it's nice and light. Yep. So that's just exactly how it's been. That's a calf skin, but that's a veg tanned. So that's like a year and a day to tan compared to a chromium tan, which is like a couple of days sort of thing to go through its tanning process. But if you pick that up and look at it, you'll be able to see with that, you'll be able to see all the hair follicles. They're like tiny little dots in it.
Yeah.
Can you see that? So that's your hair follicle. So if you were to then look at, say, this one, which is a pigmented, you won't see any hair follicles in it.
No, just the grain.
Yeah, just the grain, yeah. Yeah, that grain that's on there actually isn't a real grain. So this is completely real. This is a real grain. So this, when you look at it, you can sort of tell that it's literally, the grain is all over the place, and it's not
consistent.
It's not consistent, yeah. So if it's consistent, then there's something wrong with it. It means it's been corrected, it's been put in. When something's very consistent, that's one telltale sign. Yes, it's genuine leather, but the grain has been heat pressed into it or rolled or whatever you want to call it. So that is a veg tanned again. Anything that touches it, moisture-wise, water, drink, anything, drop of, it's just going to soak straight in. Yeah, it's literally going to absorb immediately. So protecting something like this is very, very important that you offer a protection.
When water goes on it, will it stain it?
No, it will dry out again. It depends what's gone on it. So if it's wine and stuff like that, a bar, then yeah, that's going to stain it. Especially red wine, because this is just absorbing everything. Anything that goes into leather is a problem to get out, because obviously you can't pull it out. You've got to, with leather, you're getting out what's sat on the surface, not what's gone into it. So it's everything that's gone in is a problem to get extracted back out. You can only clean off what's sat on the surface. If something's sat on the surface, you're going to remove it. That's gene dye, juice stain, whatever it's going to be. Newspaper print. You're going to be able to remove it from the surface. But if it's gone in, then it's going to have to be a complete full colour strip job, right the way down to bare leather. Put new primer on it, paint on it, lacquer it, and do it that way. So that's the only way you're going to do it. On something like this, obviously, there is no colour because it's completely natural. So once it's gone in there, that's it. Yeah. Game over, basically.
So you can't strip that?
No, because there's nothing to strip. It's completely naked leather. It's what we call virgin naked leather. There's no colouring in it. It's natural. It's as it is. So again, this is what we call a finished crust. And this one's a synthetic tanned leather, so it's different to chromium tan. So it's done with synthetic materials rather than chromium tanning, which is like, sort of metallized dyes and chromium salts and stuff like that. So again, this one it's a finished, what I call a finished crust. They're all finished because obviously they've been tanned, but this one's just white, so we're just trying to identify them differently. Obviously calf skin, cowhide. This is obviously from a good climate. This is obviously from a climate that's not so good, which we're going to show you what we mean. So obviously these sort of measle things that it's got on here, these sort of darker areas, again, look at the grain. The grain is literally all over the place. So you can tell immediately that it's genuine grain because the grain pattern on it, You know, you've got,
It goes off.
yeah, it's very, you know, obviously down the bottom here, you can see here where it's going off completely. So this is maybe something like, you know, going under the arm of the animal, you know, the leg to the body, under the belly area, that sort of thing. This could even be going stretching round the belly or something like that. So where it's going to get stretch lines, it's going to smooth out. And these little marks that you see on it, these are like insect bite marks. So these are like tick marks or maybe something like that. So again, you can see quite a fair few of them on here when you start looking at it closely. But again, you'd look at that and just think it's grain, but they're actually tick mark bites. The only way you're going to really tell is by looking at the back. And then again, on the back, you can clearly see them, you know, and you can identify them. But if that's on a couch, you're not going to see it. Do you know what I mean? And this is showing you the grain.
Quite a lot on there.
Yes, quite a lot here. Yes, there's a hell of a lot of them there. So that's obviously on the reverse side. So again, it's probably from a climate where looking after the animal, you know, they're not so great at looking after the animals. Very hot climate, that sort of thing. That's going to be associated with a lot of flies and ticks and stuff like that. You know, and again, you can sort of see them on the front. It literally looks like measles, you know, all on the front here. This mark that you see, this is just a clamp for a table where it's gone through the tanning process. So that's clamped it down, it's stretched it, you know, and that's what these marks are here. These are just marks from the clamping down process, you know, on the table when it's been tanned. But again, if you look at that, you look all over it, you can sort of see the grain pattern here is very, very different here. Even compared to somewhere like here, it's different. And then here, it's completely different again. You know, it's like almost smooth. But here, the grain, and even when you look at this, when you look at them side by side, you can tell that this grain pattern, you know, when you look at that grain pattern, you can tell that these bobbles are uneven. So you can tell that it looks natural. So when you look at something like this, which is a false grain, look how even and consistent they are. Now, trying to sort of look at what's a false grain, even though this is rolled leather, trying to look at a false grain. If you can imagine these, they almost look dull, flat sides, whereas these look nicely defined and rounded, whereas these are almost like lifeless, dull, flat sides, almost like they've been chopped out of squares, you know, tried to make them look like a grain. So that's how another way that you can sort of tell, because it almost looks lifeless, because it looks very dull down in the bottom of the grain, but they've tried to make it look like the grain. So obviously, with leathers, you are going to get grain on them. So again, this is a false grain, but what you can't take away from leather is where you've got like a line coming through it. That's completely natural. It's like our lines. At the end of the day, you know, we're going to have lines, you know, like we've got. If we were to cover that over with pigment, you're never going to get rid of the lines. You're obviously going to put a heat impression into your hand. If you were to, you know, if this was dead skin, you're going to put a pressure of a heat in there. You're still going to get these natural lines. You're just going to put a grain on top of it by heating it in. You're not going to get rid of them because they go right the way through the skin, so they're completely natural. Again, that one, a drop of water, you know, everything, you can't see it so much on it, but it goes like a wet blue. Everything just soaks in, as you can see. It just soaks straight in. Again, you should be able to look at that and see all the hair follicles in there, hopefully. Yep.
Clear.
Yep.
Very clear.
Yeah. So again, you can see them. So obviously, you know, one of these comes in your kit anyway. So it's, you know, it's another thing. Use them. We have another system that we use, which, you know, I'll show you when we finish doing this in the recording, which is using the, you know, your phone and this little gadget as well, which this is going to be able to show you to highlight, you know, different leathers and show you things as well, which works really well. Another way we can do it is using a microscope. Scan the leathers and do it that way. So, aniline. Obviously, it's the purest, like we were looking at. You know, where does the leather, what does the leather consist of? It's the top. You know, where it says grain, full grain. That's exactly where your aniline's coming from. It's like our skin. It's outer. It's the best. It's perfect. It's completely natural. So this is going to have every single fault in it. But when you look and feel the quality of this feels beautiful and soft. Yeah. Whereas this one feels stiffer. It's because of the thickness, which is what I was explaining earlier. The thickness can determine how soft it feels. So you could get something that's a really poor quality skin. So we could get this one, which we know is from a hot climate. It still feels soft, but that, if you can imagine that being a lot thicker, a lot thinner than what it is, it would feel more luxury, even though it's from a hotter climate, so it's a more poor quality skin. It's going to fool you so far as the quality is concerned, because if it goes thinner, it's going to feel more luxurious. Yep. So obviously this one is aniline. So again, water on here, drop of water on it, it soaks straight in. You know, it's completely dark within seconds, but as you can see, it's drying out quite quick. So again, so far as educating clients, if they get something spilt on here, The worst thing people can do, which is what a lot of people do, they'll get a cloth and they'll rub it in. Well, they're going to push it into the skin. So what you've got to do, ideally, you want to get like a white paper tissue. I know you've got to try to think very, very quick, but you have to almost sometimes think, hang on a moment, I need to blot it. I need to blot it. You need to try to soak it out rather than scrubbing, because you're going to scrub hard and you're just going to push it further and further in. You need a white terry, like a white paper towel, kitchen towel. Just blot it and let it soak up the stain. I know it's easy to say that. And instinct is, Christ, quick, panic and rub. So you've got to try to remember that, it's trying to educate the client. Again, with this one, you can sort of see it's completely natural. The skin looks absolutely stunning.
These lines, these wrinkles are part of the hide.
Yeah. All these lines that you can see on it, all these sort of, this is like wrinkles, but obviously when it's dyed with an aniline dye. Whereas like a synthetic tan process, this will just have paint set on the surface. Aniline dye means whatever it absorbs into it, so it's dyed right the way through. So obviously if this was a brown pigmented item, it would be brown aniline dyed. If it's going to be a black pigmented, it'd be black aniline dyed. If it's going to be blue aniline dyed, it'd have a blue pigment on the surface. On like an old Connolly leather, because they were all naturally veg tanned, they're all going to be brown on the older classic cars or older, very old leather furniture where it's going to be a Connolly hide, which I'll show you some Connolly hide later on anyway, so you can sort of see what I mean. But all these lines, everything that you see here is completely natural. So what's happened is, because this is natural lines again, like our lines that we have on our skin, it's picked up the dye deeper, and it's like highlighted it. Almost a bit like stripes on a zebra sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like highlighted it and picked them up and made it stand out. Blemishes and things is just where we've been messing around, doing bits to it, dropping oils and stuff like that on it to show you how it stains, and that once they've gone in, you can't get them out. But again, with that one, you should be able to see hair follicles if you look at it.
Yes.
Yep.
Not
as clear as the other two, no, because this has obviously got like a dye in it. So it will almost sort of partially close those up compared to these two, which is completely naked. Because they're completely naked, nothing on them whatsoever, you're going to see a huge difference on these two compared to that one, Massive difference. Very visible difference. So straight away, compared to the black one that you looked at, and you're going to notice the same on this one and the orange one, there is absolutely zero hair follicles. So because it's been coloured and processed, it's basically filled them up, and because one of these has got a genuine grain and the other two haven't, so two have been rolled, and one of them hasn't been rolled. So obviously when they're rolled, it means they're rolled and they've got the grain pressed into it. I always call it's pressed in, but rolled is a term that a lot of tanneries use. But again, you look at this. The grain is inconsistent all over the whole thing. It's totally inconsistent grain all over it. And it's not really that heavy, because grain on an animal really isn't that heavy once you take all the hair off the animal, It's not really a heavy grain. Yes, an elephant has a very heavy grain, but you're not going to get elephant skin like you used to, obviously because of protection and everything else. You're just not going to get it.
And with this type of leather, will it be common to see ticks, insect bites, or not as much?
Yeah, you can do. Again, it's top quality leather. I mean, this is a very good quality. That, those sort of things determine where the animal comes from. So if it's coming from a hotter climate, then you're going to see more of that. Scandinavia, you're not going to see it because it's a much colder climate, so you're not going to get things like that growing there. You used to get years ago warble fly, which is where, people sort of say, farmers are killers of animals and all this sort of thing. If it wasn't for farmers investing a lot of money into research and development to stop the warble fly, there wouldn't be cattle left anyway, because the warble fly is one of the most excruciating things you can possibly get. What it does is it buries itself under the skin. It then lays eggs under the skin. Those eggs hatch and they burrow their way out through the skin and then come up. So they literally eat the animal alive from inside out. Wow. So they literally almost eradicated that completely for the protection of the animal. So it's things like that have been eradicated by farmers and things. But again, you look at the grain there, how different the grain is here, compared to, this is almost looking like our skin on our foreheads. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? When you've got someone that's getting old and the skin starts to get wrinkly, it almost looks like that. When you look at it, in comparison to there, you know, what this looks like here, where it's quite smooth, and then this is pretty wrinkly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's sort of showing you, you know, what it's like. So yeah, that is the difference. This is a waxy pull-up. So again, this is a genuine grain. The waxy pull-up means it's finished, it's in, you know, it's obviously veg tanned, and it's got a wax finish to it. So it means it's got wax injected into it. And again, you can sort of see the inconsistencies in the grain, where it's very, you know, the grain is very big and wide here compared to here, where it's much smaller. You might be able to see hair follicles, I don't know. The wax may have filled them.
Very little.
Very little, yeah, because there's a lot of wax injected in, yeah. So it's very, very similar to the aniline, where you can see them, but they're very little. Again, with the wax, this marks very, very easily. So when you do like this with your fingernail, it can mark.
So you're basically scratching the wax off.
So you're scratching the wax off, yeah. Now, there is a way to resolve that, which is with heat. So if we were to rub that, you know, this one here together, so if we were to get some heat friction, you know, rub that together, and you're going to be able to remove the majority of that, move the waxes around on the surface, and you are going to see that we've virtually, because we're heating up the waxes again on the surface, we've virtually got rid of it.
Okay.
Yep.
And if that was on would you find that on car seats or?
No, it's going to be like fashion items, that sort of thing. You can get waxy pull-up furniture, but not really that much. But it's more, you're going to be more into fashion, because obviously the wax, when your body sits on it, you're going to heat it. You're going to start getting it transferring to you and stuff like that. So things like this, people getting in cars, again, it's about educating people, especially wintertime. Nice wax jacket on, heated seats on, get into a car. It's going to transfer all the wax straight onto the car. So all of a sudden, the nice white, yellow, you know, nice white interior is going to be like this yellow, goldy brown all of a sudden, because it's going to transfer all the wax to their nice sort of white individual Napa leather interior on a BMW or whatever.
Would you be able to not repair, but would you be able to remove the wax off?
Yeah, you can remove it. It depends how long it's been left on there, as to whether you can get it off. Again, you know, heat and stuff like that can help. Again, good quality leather cleaners is going to help remove that as well. So, and it's going to be a process.
Is it a way of protecting the wax from coming off?
Not really, no. You can put protection cream on it. That's going to help, obviously. So the protection cream going on there is going to help that enormously to stop that wax coming off. But you'll never ever stop it in its entirety. But it would be more protecting with the protection cream as much as you possibly can to try to avoid that wax coming off the surface, definitely.
Why would the industry wax leather?
It's just different type of finish.
Different finish.
Yeah, just people just want this nice sort of waxy feel. Yeah, it just feels softer, and it's just, it's more character, because like I'll show you on another one. So again, we've got, let's just show you on this one here. Which one shall we use? So let's use this one. So this is, again, this is a waxy finish, and this is the sort of characters that you get with if you can imagine this being on a jacket, yeah, and you can almost feel the wax on here, yeah? So with this one, if we was to heat that up on here, this will, if I can get my finger on it right, it will start to disappear. Like, so I'm moving the waxes around.
Yes.
Look at that, yeah? And it's virtually gone, because you've shifted the waxes around on the surface. So even with something like that, where you got like this real nice darkness, if we were to scrunch that up, look at the difference.
Wow.
Yeah? So again, with that, move your fingers over the surface. Yeah, look at that, how it's bringing them all back to darkness again, look. Because you're heating the waxes up.
Wax on top? Do you have wax
Yeah, you wouldn't. No, you don't really need to, because there's so much wax injected in these skins. Yeah. It's like coming out all the time, because it's like injected into it. When it's done, it's like pushed into it.
Would this dry over time?
It probably would do over time if you didn't keep it protected with like protectors and stuff like that. But the whole idea of the waxy pull-ups is because people like the character that it gets. Yeah. So like if you could imagine this look, people love this aged character look, you know. And no matter where you look on here, you know, you could like mark it like that, and then you can, you know, get some heat into it, rub your finger over it, you know, and the mark's gone again.
In regards to using heat as a source of, energy source heat.
Yeah.
To get the wax moved around.
Yeah, hairdryer, something like that.
Would the heat damage?
No, because all you're doing is just like, you know, heating the wax, and you're almost like bringing it out of the surface, you know, to the surface and sort of making it darker again. Yeah, don't overheat it. Yeah, don't put direct heat in one area or anything like that, because you end up with a dark patch if you're not careful. Yeah, so you just got, that particular one is, this is a cowhide, and then there are, this one's a kudu, and this isn't a wax, but this is a kudu skin. Kudu's like a deer, like a big antelope type thing. That's a kudu. That's quite thick. That's like maybe a couple of mil thick, 2.5 mil thick, something like that. Leather jackets, that sort of thing, is great for that. And then you've got things like this one. This is horse. So this is, again, it's waxy pull-up, but you can see how it's been like what we call rolled. So it's been pressed to make it very compacted and make it very, very strong. So it like compacts it. So you can see, it's not like an ordinary, back of a hide like this, where it's natural leather on the back. It's been pressed and done that way.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it feels nice, and it's sort of like completely pressed and compacted, and makes it very strong and durable as well. So it just helps.
And is the follicles visible on that?
I don't think you'll see them on there. You might do. Don't know. You might not. Probably not where it's been squashed. No, I didn't think you would where it's been rolled.
No, I can't see.
Where it's been flattened out, I don't think you would. So then we've got pigmented. So we've got 3 different pigments here. 2 have got a false grain in, 1 has got a genuine grain in. Bearing in mind what I've said to you, I mean, I think I probably pointed them out anyway, but...
Them 2 got false.
Yeah, them 2's got false, and this has got the real. And when you actually look at it, it's like with anything, once you know what you're looking for, you're going to be able to identify them a lot easier. So when you look at these 2 compared to that one, first of all, have you ever seen an animal looking like that?
That just looks too fake.
Yeah, it looks too fake. And the thing is, this is the majority of car interiors. This is a typical pebble finish, what you get on like a BMW sometimes,
So it's consistent.
Yeah, so it's very consistent. It maybe means that it's got faults in it, so they've had to put a grain into it, false grain into it. They've maybe sanded the skin, pressed a grain, rolled a grain into it, and then pigmented it over. But when you look at this one, you can tell that it's inconsistent. This is just like a branding fault mark, but it's inconsistent. Whereas the grain on here is completely consistent all the way through on the black one. This one looks a little bit better than the orange one.
Yeah.
Even with this black one, if you look at it carefully, you can see that they've even tried to put like little tiny dots in the middle of the grain so it looks like a hair follicle. Yeah, so it looks natural. So they've even gone that far to try to fool people even further. But with this one, you can sort of see what I was saying yesterday about when you press it. If you watch how the grain like goes into a V and follows your finger when you press it and you go along, you can sort of see it following, like in your finger, like all the way along. Whereas with this one, which is a vinyl, if you do that with a vinyl, you get absolutely nothing. But look how fake that grain is on a vinyl. It's even smoother.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It looks really smooth and flat.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference now in the temperature feel.
Yeah.
How like we did yesterday. The temperature differences as we went down and we got to here, and they got really cold. And as you went up to the more natural, they got warmer and warmer and warmer because they naturally attract heat. So, they naturally get there and attract all that heat. But you can tell the differences between the false grain, and the full grain because it's once you know what you're looking for. To the layman of the street, they look at that and they're just like, yeah, it's leather.
Yeah.
They have no idea until you've got to know what you're looking for. Like I was saying with this one, with the black one, even with the orange one, the grain bobbles that they've created on here, like you get on this. First of all, it's not as heavy as that anyway on the real deal. As you can tell, it's not that heavy on. It is on this one, but again, this one's designed to more look like this, but it still doesn't look like it because this looks too uniformed. Whereas this is different all the way over it. They've got bigger ones, smaller ones, and everything else. Whereas this is virtually the same size all the way through. So that I would say is probably the closest to look like that skin. Whereas this one is sort of more designed to look like this. But again, even that, when you look at the 2 skin structures there, look at the differences on them 2. You can tell straight away this is genuine and this is false. Because the little bobbles almost have like flat dull sides to them, whereas this is nicely rounded. It's got a lot of character to the grain and it just looks amazing. So you can certainly tell the differences but you just got to know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's going to help you identify sort of qualities. Like, you'd asked before, it's not going to help you identify whether it's a cow or it's a pig or it's a calf or it's a, lambskin, sheepskin, whatever.
Identify what leather and
Yeah, you're not going to be able to identify, but what you're going to be able to identify is like your anilines, your semi-anilines, full genuine grain, real grain. You're going to be able to identify all that. But you're not going to be able to tell by just looking at it, yep, that's cowhide, yep, that's lambskin or whatever. That's not possible. So obviously then we got the foam materials, we've obviously got the vinyl, which is your complete plastic, bad for the environment. These naturally mulch underground, these are very bad for the environment. This is a bonded, which means it's all mushed up rubbish off the floor, made to look like leather, but it isn't, but it's just made to look like leather. It feels very cardboardy and stiff and very, very freezing cold, and it just feels extremely cardboardy. And completely, literally look at it, completely flat, And even where we've like folded, like tried to roll it, compared to this, you can see where it's got these lines. These lines, where it's rolled now, will become weak points. So that's where this is going to crack in those lines, where we've tried to roll it, and it's, because it won't roll, because it's a fake material, it's wanting to like, almost like get rigid and crease. So that's where that's going to become a weak point on that, and it's going to crack. So then we get, now this is an interesting one. So here we've got 3 different types of skins, and you can pick them up to look at them like this. Just don't look at the backside where the names are, but you can pick it up and look at it, and you can see the hair follicles. This one, you can actually see the hair follicles without even, without even looking through the magnifier. You can see them. That one you're going to be able to see the hair follicles in by looking at it. Yep. And then this one's going to be a bit harder, because this is, they're all semi-anilines.
Is it because it's been pigmented?
Yeah, so it's got a small amount of pigmentation on it, but you should be able to see them on here. Yeah. So again, this is going to be probably a bit similar hair follicles to the anilines, but not quite as many visible, because they've got the clear coat and the pigmentation in the paint and stuff in the lacquer, and so it's going to be a little bit harder to see. But obviously we've got 2 different types of animal here.
Lamb?
Yeah, what do you reckon that one is?
Also
Out of interest.
Pig.
Yeah, it is. You bang on. Yes, pig skin. One thing, what people don't realise is pig skins are very hairy, wiry animals compared to most animals. So the hair follicles are quite big because they're very hard, wiry animal. So yeah, that's a pig skin, but that's a pig napper, whereas these are lamb nappers. Yeah. So again, you've got nice quality skins, but you've got a pig napper skin, you've got a lamb napper skin. So a napper isn't a form of leather, it's just a finishing process. So it's the finishing process. Emmanuel Manassi, like I said earlier on, A.F. Sawyer's in Napa Valley in California. That's where it got the term Napa leather, because it was developed in Napa Valley in California.
So Napa could be...
You could have a Napa fish skin. Obviously you can't with this one, because obviously because of the scales, but if you had like a smoother skin, say like for example like a shark, like we've got the shark skin in there, that has a more smoother skin like these do, that could be finished to have a Napa finish to it. Yep. So that could be finished like a Napa finish to it. Could the shark? You could get a horse skin with a Napa finish to it. You could get a chicken's leg. Believe it or not, you get chicken leg skin. They're very, very tiny. You could get that with a Napa finish to it if you wanted to. It's just depends on the process and the finishing as to how it's going to turn out. Yeah, it is literally that is the finishing process. It's not, when someone's got like a BMW, it's got Napa leather. People think, oh my God, I've got this special type of leather. It's just the finishing process. Of how it's done, it's how the way that the nap's finished, and also the way it's painted, with the finishing chemicals that go on the surface to make it feel very different.
Napa being known for its finishing process, would that mean it'd be more expensive to process? And
yes, because of the way they've done it, it's more. They're normally using like a top grain leather and that sort of thing as well. So they're using like a good quality grain leather. Yes, so it's going to be more expensive rather than using something like this sort of thing. You're not going to get this as a Napa because it's been corrected. Normally they're using a full grain to do it. So you're not going to get a Napa leather in something like that which had a grain that's impressed into it. Okay. Normally it's going to be full grain leathers, so it feels really nice and it's got a thin coating on the top. So this is shell cordovan, Horween, and this actually highlights to you with what I was saying about the way they like press them to make them very strong and flatten them out almost. That's sort of like that's a full size sort of skin. So yeah, that's for shoes. But it's got the faults in, so it can't actually be used for it. But they're quite expensive skins.
So this piece wouldn't be used on a shoe?
No, because it's got the faults in. Because that's a natural colour. So they only come in 3 colours. You got obviously the brown, then you got the black, and then you got like a reddy brown as well.
So is this fault during the process, or is it because the skin wasn't?
It's maybe because the skin's had a fault in it, or it could have been happened through the process or anything. It could have been where it's been pressed hard, it's highlighted a fault, and that's it. Yeah. Okay. Could have been anything like that. That's where it's like flattened the skin out. It's like flattened out uneven. It's had maybe something wrong with it, which has highlighted it, and it's caused that buckle. It could have got twisted in that process. Anything could have happened, really.
Okay.
Yeah, a multitude of things. But yeah, they're quite expensive skins. So yeah, that's like they're lovely character because you can sort of see almost like sort of, zebra, leopard sort of style, sort of look to it. But when you look at it again, if you look at it, you can sort of see the lines running across. You can sort of see where it's been rolled as well to flatten it out. So you can sort of tell where that's been done as well.
Could this not be treated once it's been rolled on?
Yeah, you can treat it. You can colour it. You can shine it, obviously, because it's shoes. You can do many things with it.
Would that hide the blemishes?
Not really, no, not these ones, because they're like, you can sort of fill them even. So you can even fill them in the surface. You can sort of, you can fill them quite clearly. There's obviously been something there that's caused that. It's been like a weak point in the skin. So when it's been flattened, it's sort of really highlighted them. And they obviously do that to try to sort of get rid of these things. But
that process to
to get an end result. But you can sort of tell, by looking at the back, you can sort of see where it's all been flattened out with all the marks and stuff that it's got on it. Yeah, so and you can see there were the lines on it. You can see the lines here on the back, and you can see them all on the front through the skin. But it's got, it's got that character and all the different colours in it. It looks beautiful. So very expensive skin. So yeah, they're on very expensive shoes. So then we move. I'm going to move these down here so they're easier to see. And then now you got to bear in mind what I say, because after this you got to do the test of the board. So please make sure you get it in here and pay attention. Yeah. So on here we have got 6 different materials. They're not 6 different types of materials, but we've got 6 items, is what I should say. Some of these are real. Some of them are fake. Some of them are fakes, and some are suedes, some are nubucks, some are different types of animals. Now, a lot of people say to me, well, how do we tell a suede and a nubuck? Which I'm going to explain. But without me telling you, do you think you could identify any of these? Possibly. Give it a shot.
Looks like Alcantara.
Similar. Don't look at the backs, because it'll probably give you a name. So.
I would say this is Nubuck.
Okay.
And lastly, this is fabric.
Okay.
Not leather.
Yeah, okay. And the grey one, the beige one and the pink one?
Oh, that feels like leather. So I'm going to go for Nubuck.
Okay.
That feels like suede. That one's tricky.
Okay. It's amazing how many people get stuck on that one.
Yeah,
And a lot of people do. Right, so suede, kid skin. Yep. Suede kid. So that's kid skin. So it's suede. And again, like I was saying to you, they like the bottom becomes the top. So if you look at the side, it's almost got all the grain and everything else in it.
Yeah.
So from the top of the animal. So that is the actual top. Outside, really, which then becomes the underside, because this is the side that they're selling you to use on your item. Yeah. So things like that. If you look at, say, like shoes, pair of shoes, this is where this is going to be, is in here, in areas like that, to give you grip on your heel. So this is where you got like the suede bit in the back of the shoe. Yep. So that's where that's going to be. Something like that's going to be used in somewhere like that. You sometimes get linings of handbags made with something like that as well. So that sort of thing. But yeah, that's a kid skin. Very delicate. Obviously, that is a suede. Yeah, that is an actual suede item. So that one is a suede. Now, that one that you said was a fabric is Alcantara.
Okay.
Yep, so that's your Alcantara. So fabric it's correct in essence. This one, which you said was Alcantara, is a faux Alcantara. So it's like a fake Alcantara. Okay. Yep. This particular one, I think you said it was Nubuck. That is actually a pig suede. Okay. Yep. So again, if you look at it, can you see the hair follicles?
Yeah, I can see them quite
Yeah. Now you can see it. Now you're shown. You can see it clearly. Again, you can see the pig suede, and again, you look at the back of the skin. You can see it on there even more. Yeah. You know, it's got all the grain. You can see all the pig skin. You can see all the hair follicles now very, very clearly on the back. But yeah, that one's a pig suede. Obviously, the kid skin. Now this is your suede, and this is your Nubuck. Yeah. Now we're going to show you the difference. If you look at the suede, it is the same all the way over. Yeah. Yeah. And it feels slightly rougher. This, when you look at it closely, if you look at this closely, you can actually see the grain in it. Look.
Yeah, and it's much smoother as well.
Yeah, and it feels softer and smoother. But if you look at it, can you see the grain in here? Yeah. This grain pattern, which you can't see in a suede. That's the only real telltale sign, is you can see the grain in a Nubuck. You can't see the grain in a suede. Yeah, that's how you're going to tell. But you've got to look at them because, you know, just from the naked eye, yeah, they look the same. I mean, because my eyes focusing on things, I'm focusing straight onto the grain because obviously I've done it for years. So I'm just looking at this and I can just see grain in here immediately because my eye is trained to see that. But again, you know, I'm looking at this across here. From where I was stood there, you know, and I was looking at them when they were here. Can you see all the grain in this now? Yeah. When you look at it and you look across it, can you see all the grain pattern in there?
There's none on the other one.
No, none whatsoever. But now now you know what to look for. You can clearly see it and clearly identify it. Yeah. Yep. So you can see the grain very, very clearly. Even this kid suede, which should be really luxurious, still doesn't feel anywhere near as soft as that, even though this is a much thinner skin. Yeah. It still doesn't feel as soft as what this does.
You can't see the grain of this.
No, so because it's a suede, yeah. So again, it's a suede. You know, your pig skin, you're not going to see the grain on there. You're going to see hair follicles, but again, it doesn't feel as soft. Yeah. You know, it doesn't feel anywhere near as soft as what that does. That's the differences between the suedes and your Nubucks. The suede isn't going to feel as soft. You're going to see the hair follicles in that because it's a pig skin, because pig skin has a very wiry, you know, hair follicle to it. But you're not going to see the grain in it like you can. You know, I can see the grain in there. Every time I look at this, I can just see grain, you know, all the lines, and you can just see the bobble pattern. Do you know what I mean? Because it's right at the top of the chain. So the Nubuck is always a much better skin than your suede. Yeah. So that's how you're going to identify those. Obviously, fish skin, and each one of these is glued together. So your fish skin is sort of glued. Where are we? Let's have a look in a better area. So there. So that's your fish skin coming down like that, and it's glued into this point. And it goes up there. So that's your fish skin. That was Doc Martens. You can see it on the back, probably easier. See it glued there, running through, and then running through and glued. They're just like flattened out, and then they're just all glued together. Not an easy thing to care for and maintain, but fish is obviously one of the hardest, you know, toughest skins in the world because it's got a cross fibre network, as you can see. Yeah, very, very similar to like a carbon fibre. So it's got a cross-fibre network, whereas collagen fibre on normal things is just going to run in straight lines. This is going to run, you know, woven because obviously the pressure per square inch underwater. So it runs, as you can see, with with that collagen fibre, cross-fibre network, like we said yesterday. Again, anything with leather, protection is the best thing you can possibly do. Yep. We'll obviously go through a lot more of this in more depth over the next couple of weeks anyway, but it's sort of giving you a bit of a quick synopsis rundown, but we're going to see how much you've paid attention when we get around to them, to see whether you can identify them. Obviously, your semi-anilines, it's going to feel much softer on the finish. Yep, so bear that in mind when you're looking at those to identify them. Compared to like your pigments, you can see they're very heavily pigmented. Obviously, your genuine grain, you've got to bear in mind what that looks like when you're identifying them. Obviously, your anilines and things, drop of water, finger on it, just to see whether it's going to soak in, so you're going to be able to identify those as well. But you're not going to find the same colours here as what's on there, so that's why we've done it. That's why we've done it, to make it a little bit more confusing. And then you've got two tones. So your two-tone leathers. It's amazing how many people say, I've not got two-tone, because what they're thinking of is this.
Yeah, and not that.
And not what we've got here, which is two-tone, because it's got a slight shadowing to it of a darker shade over the top of a lighter shade. So again, here, some people mistake this for dirt, because they look at that and just say, it looks dirty all over. It's two-toned. Yeah. It's a great process. It's an easy process to restore once you know how to do it. It's the same with everything. Everything is very, very difficult until you know how to do it. Yeah. Leather is hard to differentiate aniline to pigmented and semi-aniline and raw crust until you know what you're looking for. Yeah. Same with suede and nubuck. It's hard to identify them until you know what you're looking for. Yeah? And once you know what you're looking at, you'll see them and immediately know straight away. And that's why, obviously with the franchise, you get the board, you can put it up, in the workshop, and you can show customers. It helps you to keep your staff trained and everything else. So, and get them to do the same, take them off. Guys, do this. Yeah. Quite frequently, because it keeps them trained as well. Just try to make sure they don't take any photographs of it, or else they'll try to memorize it from photos with where the pictures go. So, yeah, they'll try to do that with the Crafty Devils. But yeah, all of these are two-tone. So this one is probably more harder than any of them to sort of see, but you can just about...
Slightly, just about see.
Yeah, you can sort of see like darker bits on it, it's very, very hard. But you can just about sort of see them. Again, when you look at it, you can tell that grain isn't a genuine grain and it's been, rolled into it, because again, the sort of grain bobbles have like a flat, dull look to them, and again, they're very consistent. Yeah, a bit like that one. They're very consistent sort of look to the structure of them. So again, that's a way to know that you're dealing with something that's genuine leather but has like a fake grain to it. Yeah. Whereas something like a vinyl will be very, very shallow grain to it, and if it is a heavier grain, it's easy to sort of get rid of it, to make it disappear. So with the vinyl, when you sort of stretch it out, it's always going to stay there. Yeah. Whereas with the leather, with a genuine leather item, if you were to sort of stretch it out, you can see you almost get rid of it. Yeah, so it's just one of the ways you can sort of go around doing it. Depending on the leather, it would depend, how it's going to react and stuff like that as well. So, whereas with the vinyl, it's always, because it's injected in, it's going to be very, very difficult to try to, some of them, like if you get this smooth raid out, you see what I mean? You can literally get rid of it completely. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just about faintly there. But again, you can get rid of it by really stretching it, but then you're going to stretch it. That's the only trouble. So you've just got to be very careful with what you're doing. Again, another two-tone, very subtle, nice sort of two-tone. There's a difference between a two-tone and a rub-off as well. So they're very different. So a rub-off is very different. So this one's like an antique finish. This is a bit like a rub-off. So it would have like a much darker shade over the top.
No light blotches.
And yeah, well, no, it'd be more completely black over the whole thing. Yep. The whole thing would have been black originally, covered in black paint. So it almost looked like a black suite with a tiny bit of red maybe coming through, a bit like a Chesterfield. And then as it wears, you can sort of see, you can get the red coming through and the black staying deep in the sort of false grain. And where we've rubbed it off here completely, you can see where it's gone like a bright sort of rusty red, and the black is sort of still left in it. Yeah. So with the rub-off leather, it's going to look like this. You can see what I mean by very dark all over. But where you rub off, so what we've got here, we've got very minimal rub-off. Yeah, and we've taken some alcohol and rubbed it off very, very finely. A little bit more rubbed off, and then very heavily rubbed off. So you've got rid of all of the sort of darkness. Some of it's left in the grain there, and that's got the majority of it left in it, and a tiny bit of the colour showing through. And that's your difference between a rub-off. Rub-off, the reason why it's called rub-off is because it rubs off over time with use.
That gives it that look.
So it gives it that sort of, it gives it patina, it gives it that antique look and effect to it. A bit like what you've got on here. You can sort of see this is darker and lighter in certain areas where it's got the rusty sort of red shining through, and it just gives it that beautiful sort of antique sort of patinary look that you want on like a nice antique piece of furniture. So then we've got bondeds, which I'm going to show you those. So these are awful things. So this is eel. So this is a heavily pigmented eel skin. Again, eel, you can see the almost like the sort of spine of the eel running down, and then these are sewn together in little strips because obviously that's the width of the eel. Come into the centre, and you can see there from the reverse where it's sewn through the middle, and then each one of these is sewn together either side here as well. Yep.
Yeah.
So again, good quality, tough skin. Obviously farmed in proper way to create it. So obviously you're going to get like the outer skin. You can sort of see when you look at it, you can sort of see the grain pattern quite nicely. Obviously, you're not going to see hair follicles because you're not going to get a hairy eel or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to see hair follicles or anything like that.
Yeah.
But again, it's heavy pigmented. So something like this is going to probably be used in like the fashion industry. That's in jackets, trousers, maybe that sort of thing. And then this is the most infamous, famous one of all. I'm going to have to be very careful. This is your bonded. Show the camera how bad that looks. So yeah, this is literally, it disintegrates. You cannot physically repair this. Once this starts to disintegrate, and it's going to go everywhere now.
So the only thing with that is probably reupholster it.
Yeah, completely reupholster. Yeah, you're going to have to replace it. So you do get a lot of leather jackets like this. A lot of people are buying very expensive designer leather jackets, and this is what they think they're getting is a real leather jacket. This is happening, and they're like, no. This is XYZ. This is real leather. No, it isn't. It's fake. And you can't do anything with it. Because the thing is, once that comes off, what you've got here with this coming off, as you can see, this is your grain. It's a plastic sheet.
Yeah.
Once that comes off, you're left with the Hessian sack material, and that's your grain pattern all in there. It's all literally stuck in it, and what you're left with is this Hessian sack. This was actually on a couch for a client.
Could they not be purchased on a roll?
Yeah, you can repurchase this on a roll. Yeah, you can't get the plastic sheet on a roll. You can get the whole thing.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be able to, because again, it's like, this is all glued on with like resins and glues and binders, and it's stuck to it. But this is what happens, it just peels off, look.
And after how long will that, or in what conditions will this peel off?
There's not really any conditions, it's more use. And it can last only sometimes a year or two before it literally disintegrates like this.
Yeah, because for me, if big brands are using...
Yeah, big brands do, yeah.
If they're using this, then surely they've got to make sure that it's got to last a minimum amount of time. Before
Well, you'd have thought so, yeah. No, in some cases it can literally break down within months.
Wow.
Depends on how they're using it, or how if it's got kids jumping on it all the time, dogs sat on it, odours and sort of sweat and body oils from a dog getting on there as well. It's not going to help it.
Probably scratches easy as well.
Yeah, it's going to damage easy. It's everything. And again, you've got no, none of this is.
No structure to it.
There's no structure to it. All the grain is in here, and once this starts peeling off big amounts like this, you can't replicate it. It's impossible. And the thing is, even the back of it, they try to fool you because
They try to make it look like
they even
leather.
try to make it look like leather on the back. And the only place that there is any leather content is in this, where those little, those darker dots that you can see on there. Yeah, you can see those darker dots in that. That's actually the leather. So it's minimal amount. And of course, they're going to stick this in, I don't know whether the camera will pick it up, but they're going to stick that in showrooms surrounded by leather couches. And of course, you're going to think you're buying a leather couch. It's, you're going to naturally think, because it all smells of leather, that's exactly what you're getting. But look at the state of it. It just goes everywhere. It disintegrates. I've had this donkey's years. It's literally almost, I'm going to lose it to the end of its life cycle soon, and I won't be able to use it much more. Just trying to think of any other skins that we've got to show you. That's just another suede. No, there's nothing really more there. That's a die-cast, because the others are bonded. This is a die-cast. So die-casts normally are pretty shiny.
This isn't leather, is it?
No, this isn't leather. And you can see it's got a plastic film by looking at the surface, where you can see it's got a plastic film on it. So this is like what they call it has a split skin in it. So it's got like a backing material, and it's got like a fake, sort of like a drop split skin in the middle of it. And then the plastic coating over the top as well.
Is this used for like seating areas, or?
Yeah, they use this some couches are made out of this. Same with that one I've just shown you on the bonded one, where it's all falling apart. Couches are made out of that. You're going to find, like also with this one here, with this type of bonded, backs and sides of couches are going to be made out of that. Yeah, most couches, it's only going to be the front-facing parts that are going to be genuine leather. Yeah, everything else is going to be this fake bonded die-cast material on all of them.
And that's just to keep the cost down. Just keep it
Yeah,
uniform.
it's just to keep the cost down. But the thing is with it, it just damages the environment because it's plastic at the end of the day.
I mean, it smells. It smells different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very.
Yeah, rubbery, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's very rubbery sort of smell to it. Very rubbery smell. And it's just so stiff.
Yeah,
Again,
it's got creases in
you know,
it.
where it's been folded, again, you can see where it's cracking, look, where it's
Yeah.
folded as
Yeah, I
well.
see that,
And it just cracks on these creases as well. So if you can imagine, you know, that on a couch where someone sat on it all the time and the backside sat in that pressed area and they just sat there day in, day out, it's just going to disintegrate it in no time whatsoever.
And that'll create a weak point.
Yeah, and it gets this like because the plastics are gassing out, it's got like this almost like formaldehyde film on it.
Yeah, you
A
can
bit
feel
like you get on the inside of windscreens, you know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
the formaldehyde coming through the heating and aircon. So you've almost got that effect here where the gassing out of the plastic material is gassing out and coating it.
where it looks very greasy as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's just been down in that box there for like 7 or 8 years, and it's just, this is happening to it. It doesn't happen to any of the leather skins, it's just this is gassing out.
Yeah.
And that's all it's doing because of the plastic that's in there, you know, from being made, you know, fossil fuels and see, it's just bad for the planet. It doesn't disintegrate.
It doesn't look like leather either.
No,
Yeah.
no, it literally looks awful. It's,
It's shiny here, it's dull here.
yeah, exactly,
It's
yeah.
got grease marks.
I know, it's just, just, the whole thing is just garbage.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, non-usable, it's awful, and yeah, it's just horrid. Don't even know how it went together now, like that, I think. Yeah, it's just a horrible, horrible, greasy thing. So, let's see. We're going to get you to go and do the ID board now. We're going to see whether you can do the... Yeah, whether you've been paying attention. So, yeah, we'll get you doing the ID board. That's the main thing.